Thank you very much, Mr. Whip. May I now call upon the final official speaker, the Whip from the opposition side, Mr. Christophe Zhang.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your Excellency, Madame la Secrétaire Générale, mon Général, most exquisite bell girl, and most elegant bell boy, distinguished members of the jury, defeatist members of the government, estimable colleagues of the opposition who speak tonight not as polytechnicians, but as change, passion, and revolution combined. Ladies and gentlemen, in the Iliad, Homer wrote, "I fear the Greeks, even those bearing gifts." And even though nowadays there's not much left to fear from the Greeks except maybe fat food and unpaid debt, the Greeks still are, through their culture, the bearers of many gifts, so universal and timeless that one of them resonates deeply with tonight's debate. This gift is irony, the star quality of their tragedies. Think of Oedipus fighting against fate in vain. Think of Orpheus losing his love at the very gates of hell. And think of Kronos, defeated by a child he thought he had killed. The Greeks had an innate sense of these cruel situations where well-thought-out provisions only backfire against you. And tonight, the same irony has befallen the government. A government terrified of not knowing what to do. A government, sir. No thank you, who sought to avoid panic by saying keep calm and carry on, as Mr. Berger said. And who has ultimately only achieved to fall into much worse, paralysis. Paralysis keeps trees from growing. Paralysis prevents us from reaching our full potential, unlike Mr. Brunstein said. What will Batman do, you ask? Well, he most certainly did not keep calm and carry on after witnessing the murder of his parents.
Point of information.
Thank you. Otherwise, he would not have become the Dark Knight, only the tormented and introspective knight. But more seriously, as my colleague Flora said, handling a difficult situation takes more than just keeping calm and carrying on. Sometimes you just simply don't have the time to think. Do not lull yourselves to sleep with the government's mantra, no thank you, lest you fall off your horse and be trampled. Trampled like the weeds you seem so intent on growing in these gardens of yours. But as my colleague Passion, Mr. Passion, illustrated, we don't spend all our time in gardens. Even Jean d'Eau and Géraldine have to go inside from time to time.
On that point, sir.
Go ahead.
Don't you believe that you should know what yourself and know your other half so you can make it a lot more interesting?
But that does not exclude passion, Miss Matthews. On the contrary, it fuels passion.
Point of information.
No, thank you. Leading people is not solely a matter of rational thinking. It takes passion to move crowds, to foster the people. Otherwise, you're not leading, you're just lecturing. And lecture you did, Miss Matthews, with courage, trust, freedom even. Such big words that you desperately brandished.
Point
just
of information.
To conceal the fact, no thank you, that you rationalize because you're terrified. Terrified of change, terrified of passion, because you are complacent. But total self-control is an illusion, ladies and gentlemen, and a dangerous one at that, especially when it rests in the hands of cowards. Do not let it ossify you. Do not squander the gift of life by following hollow algorithms.
On that point, sir.
Yes, please.
Wouldn't you agree that it's more dangerous to be led by your fears?
What, sorry?
Wouldn't you agree that it's more dangerous to be led by your fears?
Well, that's what I'm criticizing you. You are paralyzed by your fears. Steer clear of hollow and uncompromising rules. Change can take you off an otherwise deadly path. Passion can sometimes do what reason could never dream of. However, it is also true that endless change leads you nowhere, and that ceaseless passion is excessively consuming. But that is not how we opposed the hollow mantra advocated by the government.
Point of information.
No, thank you. We opposed it with balance, a balance between monotony and break. And in fact, most of life is made of monotony, of calm. But sometimes, calm just foretells the
On that
storm
point,
that is
sir.
ahead. No, thank you. And that is where the government completely missed the point. We expected them to prove that we should always keep calm and carry on. But that, of course, they didn't rise to the challenge. And how could they? What makes the salt of life is precisely what's left when you take away these moments of monotony. Situations that call for change, as my colleague Flora elaborated. For passion, as my colleague Grégoire advocated. And for revolution, as my colleague Aude vindicated. Beware of an eternal routine. Beware of spending your life doing the same things over and over again. Beware lest you become Sisyphe of our time. But you know, Sisyphus pushes his rock up the hill over and over again because such is his punishment in hell. But all of us here, members of this House, even the government, are very much alive. And when we get to the top of the hill with our rock, we do not simply keep calm and carry on the same hill with the same rock. We see taller hills in the distance, and we simply have to tackle them. Such is the way of life that we should rise higher still, so that in the end, death finds us on top of the tallest mountain we have ever climbed, not on the first and only hill we've ever known. So, ladies and gentlemen, members of this House, members of the jury, let us live, and let us leave the government to their stones and pebbles and reject this motion. We have mountains to climb, and after that, all eternity to keep calm and carry on. But right now, right here at the Hôtel de la Cé, life awaits!